The RAF Video Games and Esports Association is updating the public perception of what it is to be in the military, to show people we are genuinely part of the future.
A common complaint about video gaming is it's an isolating activity. Reading is perhaps a more isolating activity than playing esports. This is an activity that is here to stay. It's not going away.
To set up 20 LAN rooms on stations around the Air Force. We're looking at how we spend wisely to make it 21 or 22. We have no idea what our membership's going to do. We've got estimates ranging from a total membership of 4.5, anything up to 9,000 players.
Defence virtual simulation. So there's no real troops on the ground. There's no aircraft flying. It's all done as if you like, a big Call of Duty, a video game, which is made by Bohemia Interactive, and it's Virtual Battle Space 3. Which is based on the original Armour game.
Augmented reality, and as you can see, it combines not only esports as they traditionally would think of them, but also some physical activity.
So, you're probably wondering, what is esports?
Yeah, welcome to the Viking Army. You just gotta see how we do it when we playing live, when we on the stream. Super hype, this is for my gamers, yeah, we do it major. Esports, repping for my content creators, yeah. So dope and exciting, you ain't seen nothing like him. Say bro, you don't ever wanna go toe to toe with a Viking. Competition, you been warned. Vikings, you know what's up, really ain't no competition, so I think you should join us.
Esports is short for electronic sports, meaning video games that can be played competitively, either as an individual or as part of a team. The idea of competitive video gaming has been around since video games first appeared. We had people playing games like Space Invaders, Pac-Man and Pong to beat the high scores in arcades and to go on to become local and even regional heroes. When PC gaming and the internet became popular, people were able to play against strangers and people who could be anywhere across the globe. This launched the era of international icons, teams and players that could lay their claim to be the best in the world. There are many games that are considered to be esports and which have huge international tournaments, big prizes and plenty of chances for people to compete. If you're a developer and you can find a way to make your game more multiplayer and competitive, this can future-proof a game and increase its longevity. League of Legends is a great example. The 2016 World Championships for League of Legends attracted over 43 million viewers online, and the prize pool was over $6 million. For the competitors, it can be a full-time job. They travel the world to compete and are sponsored by companies with endorsements that can support them financially between competitions. The latest estimate is that over 100 million people play League of Legends. Other popular esports games include Overwatch, Dota, Counter-Strike, PUBG and Fortnite, but this is a documentary about esports in the RAF. Let's find out more from Ken Pike, one of the organisers of the associations.
Hi, my name's Ken. I am an RAF civil servant, but I'm also a massive computer gamer. I'm part of the Royal Air Force Video Games and Esports Association that's here at Insomnia 65, and we are bringing RAF video gaming to the world for the very first time. And what brings us all together is our love of all of this. Computer games, from the classic things behind you, from the Nintendo stand, through to the most cutting edge video games, virtual reality environments, esports, and even physical video games that are mixing the boundaries between computer games and real sports. RAF Esports became a concept at Insomnia 62, where a few of the guys that we had there as part of the RAF 100 team came to this very place, looked around and said, hey, we should be doing this. We should be doing this as an association. We should be doing this as a team, as an RAF team. And Wing Commander Dan Pento, who's the current chairman of the association, really started to push this forward. Got permission to proceed a few months ago. In only 5 short months, we've gone from 0 members to 500 members, of which about 60 are here at the Birmingham NEC, manning the stand here, but also playing games in the Bring Your Own Computer arena next door, and competing at the very highest level. We have smashed the Army team at Counter-Strike and Overwatch a number of times this weekend, but they've also competed against professional level gamers. People have taken trophies in things like augmented reality dodgeball, in games like Quake, an absolute classic that's been around for 10 years or more. This is a team that has gone from nothing to huge levels of success in an incredibly short time.
The RAF Esports Association has grown rapidly, but there's been some resistance regarding the impact that esports can have on the RAF, particularly on the health, mental and social well-being of RAF personnel. We spoke to Professor Robert Brookie, author of Hollywood Gamers, about the implications of esports in the military.
A common complaint about video gaming is it's an isolating activity. That is not necessarily true in terms of some games, specifically massive multiplayer online video games where players cooperate in terms of gameplay. That type of cooperation is inherent within esports because players play as teams and they cooperate in terms of competition. But even in those cases in which they are playing individually, they are playing against someone else. So the games, in terms of esports, are inherently social rather than isolating. And in fact, to use an analogy, reading is perhaps a more isolating activity than playing esports. But we don't hear anyone really complaining about reading being isolating, except in terms of novels like Fahrenheit 451. Another complaint about video gaming is that it leads to inactivity, the typical couch potato who sits around playing video games all day. Now that may be true for somebody who doesn't have any self-discipline, that doesn't exercise. But in a military context, exercise is part of the daily routine. And so as long as somebody is involved in a military regime, the issue of being a couch potato becomes kind of a moot point. Now, in contrast to some of those complaints, I think there are some advantages to video gameplay, and particularly video gameplay in the context of esports. It really focuses on strong hand-eye coordination, and so it instills in players a skill set that becomes extremely important and probably would be very valuable within a military context. Now, another advantage of esports is the fact that it is team-oriented, and those teams have to become dependent upon each other for support. And it seems that that kind of dependence would also have very practical applications within the military. In other words, esports, played by military people, means those people are practicing that sense of dependence and that sense of support. And again, in the US, esports is not emerging, it's already here. There are teams that are formed in college universities and even in high schools here in the US. And several professional sports teams now are sponsoring esports teams. So this is an activity that is here to stay. It's not going away.
So when we look to the future and we want to employ the best people for the RAF, yes, we need those people who are physically capable in a war-fighting environment. So what are the benefits of esports for the RAF? Well, I'm not going to suggest for a minute that this can replace sports, and no one thinks it does. But what it does do is allow people a further variety of hobbies and interests, on top of things from one end where you've got chess associations and model aircraft, through to sports associations like rugby, tennis, squash, rowing, through to esports, which is taking a whole blend of these different skills. And when you look at the skills that people are employing these days in the Air Force, we are involved in an ever-increasing world of cyber threats, of computing, of aircraft that employ the latest technology to keep them running and even to operate them.
To combat some of the stereotypical physical health features of video games and the gamers themselves, the RAF Esports Association and the RAF Central Fund have recently unveiled the first esports club. In addition, they've installed an augmented reality game called Hado, which will be available to RAF bases across the UK. Hado is virtual reality dodgeball that has its own World Cup and is considered one of the world's first augmented reality sports. We went to RAF Odium to find out more.
So we're here at RAF Odeum today to open the first esports club in the Royal Air Force. Now what you can see behind me is a game of Hado, which has been demonstrated today by the team. It's augmented reality, and as you can see, it combines not only esports as we traditionally would think of them, but also some physical activity. So first of all, we've got a large number of gamers here on the unit, but what we tend to find is they stay within their rooms in quite isolated conditions. What we wanted to do is provide them with a very social space where they could come out and, yes, game together, but also interact more socially on the unit.
Go from there.
I think it'll expand. There's a huge appetite on station for this kind of activity. Of course, we now have our own station club, which will compete, and hopefully our members will go forward to the RAF sports teams and compete for the service in esports competitions globally.
Here we are now. We've got an amazing club, an amazing facility. The outreach and the potential that it's got is only imagination could stop it from reaching its potential, really, I suppose.
We're at the Central Fund. We're really excited to see where this grows to. I don't know if you can see behind us, but this is an example of virtual reality providing an opportunity not just for sitting behind a screen, but actually getting involved and being active, which is exactly the kind of outcome we were hoping to achieve through founding this esports club at Odeum. We're really excited to see where it grows to. It's going to be really fun times ahead.
Yeah.
Some video games are based on military warfare and emulate battlefield scenarios. Games such as Call of Duty, Armour and Battlefield are just a few of the hundreds available. These games offer a wide range of realism, but wouldn't it be interesting if they could be made useful in real military organisations? Surprisingly, the RAF and other military around the world already use video game software to create simulations, which can be used to train personnel. We were invited to RAF Honington to find out more, and along the way, we made a few interesting discoveries.
The main objective of the S-Cage is to train force element battle staffs and their commanders. So in essence, we have a large ops room simulator. However, the bit of equipment you see behind me is an offshoot of that, which is a small unit simulator for vehicle crews and forward air controllers, but is attached to the main S-Cage, so everything is all networked together. The technology we use is mainly simulation from Bohemia Interactive VBS3, or in the military we call it DVS, which is based on the original Armour game. So the more practice you get in here, I said that you're able to do things in a shorter space of time. So whereas a drill or something that you do out on the ground in real life may take several hours, and then you have to reset, which may take a period of time, here you can reset it in minutes or seconds. So something that you may go to the training area to do that you can do once or twice in a day, here you can do 7 or 8 times. And then when you go out the next day, you'll be able to do it well rather than going through the initial steps. So the initial steps can be done here, and then the real steps done out on the ground.
DCCT is a dismounted close combat trainer. It is a synthetic weapon training facility. It enables us to train our service personnel with all the small arms currently available, so anything from Glock pistol through the in-service rifle, sharpshooter, and then machine guns up to our heavy support weapons, including the HMG and the GMG grenade mounted machine gun. The technology of our training will only be enhanced with the technology of our equipment. If that investment fails to keep up with current practices and stuff which is out there, which our younger generations are now being able to get a hold of themselves, we will be doing ourselves a disservice not to keep up with that practice, yes.
So as the world as a whole becomes more and more reliant on technology, the defence sector and defence of our nation isn't immune to this. So it is really important that the recruits of the next generation, or even these recruits coming through, have an awareness, have a innate ability to pick up technology quickly and use that to the best advantage. So, I believe that gaming generation coming through and people who are used to using games will bring that knowledge through of teamwork, of tactical awareness, of communication, and of just using keyboard, mice, virtual reality into defence, and that will be a significant force multiplier for the threats to our nation in the coming decades. PC gamer myself, bringing esports into the military, I think is great. I think it's like everything, balance is important, and it shouldn't take away from, physical training, sport in the military. I think that has an important part to play. But do I think esport is adding value to the military? Absolutely. Will it attract the right type of technical people into the military to face the future threats? Absolutely. Do I think that the skills that esports bring, that are required for esports, that are relevant to defence? Absolutely. Like I said before, teamwork, communication, tactics, and just general use of technology, I think, is really important. The only thing that I'd add is it's so great to see the RAF kind of forward-leaning in terms of the esports space, but also just technology in general. And this is the future, so we want to attract the best talent to the defence of our nation. So good on you.
Finally, to wrap up this documentary, we decided to chat with the chair of RAF Esports, who gave us some insight into the future of esports in the Royal Air Force.
When I joined the Air Force, most of our social activity was through what's then known as a NAFI Bop, which was pretty much a disco night put on by NAFI. They kind of stopped a few years ago. And for a while we had the bowls. Most stations had a bowl of some sort. But I think with one exception now, almost all the bowls are closed. If you were to do a block inspection today, virtually every room you go into comes fitted with a PC or a console. It's just something that all the kids today do. And when they join up, they don't stop because they've joined the military. So one of the things we'll be aiming to do is to link physical activity with esports, both by encouraging our members to get involved in physical activity and also to encourage the sort of teamwork you gain, the teamwork, coordination, leadership skills you get from doing team sports is just as valid online as it is in real life. And if we have people who play sports and then go online and play esports, that's fantastic, because it's all about service ethos of making sure we have great teamwork, great coordination, and developing the leaders of the future. I think we can do all that and contribute to the service community with that.
I spoke recently to one of the squadron members, a 617 squadron, flying the new F-35 Lightning Bs. And those things provide so much information to the pilots through the helmet system that they have, that the squadron boss there says that the PlayStation generation is ideally suited to understanding all of these myriad of data inputs that they have to deal with. We also need people who understand quick reactions in a digital environment, and that's what esports gives us. We speak to some of the young people here who are the potential RAF members of the future, and these guys are fast. They've got a brain on their shoulders that can process data like nothing that I've ever seen before, and that's what we need.
If you'd like to know more about esports in the Royal Air Force and you're already serving, get in touch with your base representative, or you can contact the RAF Sports Federation online, rafsportsfederation.uk. If you're not currently serving in the RAF, then check out our main page at raf.mod.uk, where you can drop us a comment or message below.